Being lost is a good thing if you're open to it. Like if you're open to change and discovery, it forces you to be creative.
Fighting that feeling of being lost, it's very much like a point of pride for society to know what you're doing, to be driven, to have a goal. Like it's this big thing. Like if you have that, you're amazing and you know what you're doing in life, you know? And for the rest of us who don't have that, it's like something's wrong with you, you know?
Useless.
You're useless, yeah.
Hey, my name is Nanan.
And I'm Nikki.
And welcome to the very first episode of TGKOL, the good kind of lost.
It's the good kind of.
The good kind of.
It's the good kind of lost podcast. As it's the very first episode, can you tell us a little bit more about our podcast? What's the good kind of lost?
So the good kind of lost, the idea that we had when we were coming up with this title is the idea of, going through life and sometimes feeling lost and feeling like you don't know where to go, what to do. But there's also a way of being lost in your mind of how you experience this loss that can be good and can be a more pleasant experience than we often experience it on our own, I think.
And so just for the little story, we're two girls living miles apart. One of us lives in the US and the other one lives in France. So that's why you can hear a little accent, and that's why my English won't be always perfect. But we're just here to share some things with you.
Share our thoughts and our feelings and our opinions on all these topics that are on our minds all the time these days. This podcast was bound to happen because the way we talk with each other, we always go on these long extended conversations of deep topics, and I thought, this is like prime material for a podcast, so it is actually perfect.
So all this leads us to the question, what is it to be the good kind of lost? So let's start with this one. How do you normally deal with feeling lost?
So for the topic of what do I do when I feel lost? Well, there are a couple of things that I do personally. Being a Christian, I love to pray, so I'm always talking to God, and that's like my first answer, my first line of response whenever I'm in trouble with anything, really. That's the first place I go. The other thing that I like to do, I like to remember the last thing that I decided the last time I felt lost. So because feeling lost is this thing that happens all the time, right? It's kind of cyclical, our life, when we go through these ups and down periods. So it's like, I'm going to feel lost again, even though I felt lost last time and I thought I found the answer. So I'm like, what was my answer last time? So that's kind of where my mind goes. What was my answer last time? And I often find like some sort of peace and resolution from that answer. So I like to go back in the past and think, okay, how did I get over this before? What about you?
First, I like to see two different types of lost. Like we can be physically lost, which I really love. This is what I always try to do when I'm on a trip or something. I always try to find like opportunities to get lost and to meet new people and to find new opportunities that I hadn't prepared. But there is the second kind of lost, and I think this is the one that we're really interested in today. It's just be mentally lost. And I feel like there's something like we absolutely need to know the direction we're heading, and we need to have certainty. In this kind of situation, we tend to compare ourselves to others, because that's what we naturally do when we don't feel aligned, I think. For the little story, when I was younger, just after my high school graduation, I was totally lost. Like I saw everybody leaving for university and they know what they wanted, and from the outside it seemed like they found a clear path, And I started to have panic attacks, and this is just because I couldn't see a clear path for myself, a goal to pursue, and I didn't know what job I wanted to do. I didn't know what type of person I was or I wanted to be. And I didn't want to leave my parents' house too, but at the same time, it was like I was expected to do that. So yeah, so just long story short, as for today, I would say it took me a long time to like not to fight against being lost, but instead like to just simply look at this uncomfortable feeling and admit that it was there, you know?
Yeah.
So today I consider being lost one of my normal states. I'm still lost. So I'm talking too much, but I have I wrote some things I wanted to share, the things I do when I feel lost. So first, it might sound cliche, but the first thing I pay attention to is my inner dialogue, because I think it's so easy to feed the little inner critic, you know, inside yourself, and to maintain or reinforce the voice of fear. So I try to stay gentle and talk to myself like I would do to a friend. And it doesn't mean complaining more or feeling sorry for yourself, but just simply being compassionate. Then the second thing is I try to get out of my emotional storm for a little bit and to see things just as facts. I'm lost. That's a fact. It's like looking at a messy room and saying, okay, it's really messy right now. It's really messy. But not saying like, I'm a disaster, I don't deserve to leave, I don't deserve, you know, anything for my future because I'm lost. Maybe this state requires being a little bit strict with yourself. It's a kind of discipline, I think. And the first thing, it's the last thing, I promise. I try to stay as open and curious as I can. Sometimes in those cases, we tend to think we're less valuable than others. And so we hide, we try to stay alone, and yeah. And I feel just sharing how you feel with someone, someone you trust, of course, or if you have no one, just to write it down somewhere, you see that it helps and you're not alone. So yeah.
Yeah. You make some very good points, and I made note of a couple of things I want to comment on. First of all, like you touched on that feeling coming out of school. And being lost. I feel like this is like across the board, especially in like 2026, where job markets are crazy. Nobody knows the future of AI. Like, what do you invest the next 4 years of your life into in university? Or if you do a master's, like, do you get for like, what do you study? Like, who knows anymore? Like right now, everything's kind of in turmoil, and there's a lot of question marks. Out there for people, especially people coming out of school, I think. And for some people, like the pathway might seem obvious, especially people who grew up in a very an atmosphere of the house that is, you know, school is important, this is what you do. For instance, I'm of, you know, Jamaican descent, so Jamaicans are very much like lawyer, teacher, doctor. That is it, you know, lawyer, teacher, doctor, pick one. You know, much like, you know, Asians have the similar thing going on. But it in our family is very much like that. Like all of my like uncles and aunts are like doctors, teachers, lawyers. Wow. Like they're well known in Jamaica, that kind of thing. So it's like, it's kind of like obligatory, you know, you're going to become. So like when I was in school, like I didn't actually have that experience of not knowing what to do, because I was like, that's what I'm supposed to do, right? Become a doctor. That's what I'm supposed to do. And it wasn't until later on in my school years that I started to spiral and not down or up. I was just like this. And it was like, I didn't know what I was doing, because like it's like I woke up and it's like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? And this was, you know, before the job market was crazy, you know, there were ideas for what to do, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And that feeling of being lost, it was just late for me, but it came for me too. And I think it comes for all of us, that even if right now you're, you know, like dead set and driven in things, there might be a day for you where you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be like, I don't know why I'm here or what I want to do here anymore.
Exactly.
And I think what you said about like the other idea about like fighting the feeling, we want to fight the feeling, and we'll talk more about this maybe if we get to it, on the topic of like fighting that feeling of being lost, because I think it's very much like a point of pride for society to know what you're doing, to be driven, to have a goal. Like, it's this big thing. Like, if you have that, you're amazing and you know what you're doing in life, you know? And for the rest of us who don't have that, it's like something's wrong with you.
You're
you know?
useless.
You're useless. Yeah. And you have to fight those thoughts. You have to fight that. So it's kind of like, there's a thing though, like on the one hand, you have to fight the negative thoughts and the negativity in your own mind. At the same time, there's this guy that I like listening to. Oh gosh, and while you were talking, I was trying to remember his name. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name, but I will look him up and we can put his name on the screen for you guys. This guy is like the emotion coach. He does this for people in business, but he helps people in like general everyday people with their problems, and he does like little videos with like one-on-ones with people, and he talks about something very important about, he's very like extreme with this, so you know, maybe you might not agree 100%, but he talks about the importance of embracing your emotions and realizing like good and bad emotions are there to help us, and we need to look at them and know why we're having these emotions, and that's how we understand ourselves, and that's how we come to terms with our struggles mentally, you know? So it's like that idea, we do have to fight the negative self-talk like you were talking about, but at the same time we have to embrace that this is how we feel right now. I feel lost, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know why, or whatever the questions are bubbling in our minds, and we allow ourselves to feel it so that we don't run from it, because that's one thing that I've been practicing lately, is not running from my feelings of I don't know, because I'm the overachiever, I'm the girl that was going to be a doctor, you know, all these things, and I'm in the place now where like I have a lot of I don't knows, and it's like very tricky to balance this place of being still and not being overwhelmed with the I don't knows, at the same time allowing myself to feel them and be open to see an answer, like, because there is an answer. I really believe there is an answer. It's out there in the lostness, you know? And the last thing that I really liked that you said was, it comes back to the same idea of that balance between the negative and embracing, is being gentle but firm. I like those words that you use, gentle but firm. It's so important. Like, be gentle with yourself. And I think one framing that really helped me, I forgot who put me onto this, but it's basically to treat yourself as if you were talking to your best friend. Would you say this to your best friend? Would you be like mean and bash them on the head? But at the same time, you wouldn't enable them. You wouldn't like, you know, push them into the wrong direction. So you kind of have to find that balance with yourself too. Think of yourself as your best friend. You're your first best friend, and you need to be that to yourself. And a lot of us struggle with that. And I think that's a good place to start when it comes to learning how to deal with being lost.
Totally.
You know? I guess on that same topic, I kind of brought it up a little bit, but we can go a little deeper. Do you think feeling lost is a bad thing? But why do you think people think it is? Why do you think people think it is a bad thing?
I think lostness. I don't know if I can say it like that.
Sure, we can just say it.
I think it's bad from our society's point of view, because I feel like our values are based on what we do, like our job, the studies we followed, things like that. And I feel like if you don't know where you're going, it seems like a waste of time. You can be perceived as like useless, as I said, inconsistent, not ambitious, not interesting, and all the negative things like that. And we all fear that.
Yeah.
I think that's the mindset we need to move away from. I think as long as we define ourselves through the eyes of society, and not as individuals. We'll keep believing that feeling lost is something bad. And yeah, in my opinion, we should give more value to this natural state.
Yeah. I agree. I agree 100% with the idea that, it's society's standards that we are trying to follow. I also had a thought about it's just uncomfortable.
Yeah, totally.
Totally. We don't like to be uncomfortable. As human beings, we run away from discomfort, and it's why we can get stuck in like our comfort zone and we never go out and push ourselves, because we just like being comfortable,
Yeah,
so it's like
sure.
we run away from the discomfort of feeling lost and uncertainty.
We keep the same habits, the same routine.
We want to know what the next thing is coming. We don't want to be having question marks, so I think that's that's like the underlying problem, because even when it comes to society, it's the discomfort of being different that we don't like, so we're running away from that discomfort. And I mean, it helps us as humans to live and survive, but to transcend surviving, survival, we have to work, and work requires discomfort sometimes, I think. There's one other thought I wanted to get.
But sometimes I feel like we forget to live just what's happening right now. We're just like focusing on the future, the things we've done, but not about right now.
Yeah.
And sometimes even if you're not like totally busy with like lots of things to do, it can be like something really amazing to live just right now and to embrace this time of reflection.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Embrace the present moment. Yeah. Be present, mindful, all those things. Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I feel like, it's like being in the middle of a forest. Like when you're inside it, it's dark, it's scary, and you hear sounds that you don't really know if you should trust them or should, fear them. But I think that doesn't mean there is not, like you're not following a path, that you're not moving forward in the end. Even if it's totally uncomfortable, as you said.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good image, the forest.
How does our perspective of being lost affect our experience of it, you think?
I think it's like the thing, especially because we're talking about being lost mentally. There was a book I read when I was a kid called The Battle of the Mind. And I believe it's like the final frontier of the battle in this whole world is in our minds. Like, I think of Viktor Frankl. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. He's a famous guy in psychology, and he was in, I believe, in internment camps, and he was able to transcend his terrible physical situation by escaping in his mind. And I believe he said something like, oh gosh, I'm gonna mess this up, but it's something about like no one can put you in prison. He's escaped already in his mind, something like that. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to being lost, being in that forest. Imagine being in that dark forest, and you're like, in your mind, you are calm, you're at peace, you are sure that if you keep walking in a direction, you'll reach a place. Like you trick yourself into being at peace. And I believe that's what we have to do. And it's a fight. It's an everyday fight. Every time you feel lost, because being lost is not something your mind likes. And you have to train yourself to put in the right record player in your mind, listen to the right things and talk to yourself the right way and feel those feelings without shutting them down or without being afraid of them. And it's a lot of little things to practice, but they're totally practicable. They're totally doable. And we can get past that mental barrier by just like working on how we view what being lost is, you know?
Totally. And also to learn how to let go of things. Not to always try to control everything.
Yeah.
I think it's really
that's
important.
a big one. That's a big one.
Yeah.
Modus of control. Yeah, that's something I thought about a long time. Like, I think someone once said, I forgot who it was, that the only thing we can control, and this is funny because we trick ourselves, we think we can control more than we can, but the only thing we can control is ourselves, our thoughts, and how we react and what we choose to do. Everything else, like where we're sitting, like I'm sitting here in this house, but an earthquake could come, you know, like things could happen around me. Yeah, I like, no, God forbid, knock on the wood. But I'm saying, like, I can't control the weather. I can't control people outside my house. You know, I can't control the structure of this building. I can hope, but you know, there are a lot of things that are outside of my control, and we trick ourselves into thinking, okay, I'm in this house, I'm in this car, I'm safe, right? I made this happen. And no, you have no control. The only control you have is over yourself, and being okay with that.
Yeah.
Being okay with that.
It's all a matter of how you react in the end, how you choose to react.
You're choosing.
It's a matter of choosing, I think.
How do you think being lost can lead to good things? Has it for other people?
I think being lost is a good thing only if you're open to it. Like if you're open to change and discovery. And like I said, it forces you to be creative. And the cool part is that it doesn't just help you if you stay open. You don't know, you might find a new opportunity, a new idea, or a fresh perspective, or you know, just a small discovery that can help you but also can help others. Yeah, so I think it's a benefit for everyone to be lost. So of course it's a good thing to me, at least.
I agree. And you touched on the point that I was going to bring up as well, about the ability and the ability and the chance to make discoveries and be creative. And like you said, it depends on your mindset, you know, just like we talked about a second ago, where if you're in fear, you have fight or flight response. There's only black and white. There's only up and down, good and bad. You know, there's no gray area. And it's hard to see creatively. It's hard to see around you and find answers. But if you're in the right mindset, then you can make those discoveries. You can find opportunities. I think there's opportunity in being lost because I think of the AI space and all of the inventions and I call them inventions, but they're just innovations of like how to use AI. Like one of the earliest things that came out of the new AI in programming was AI cleanup specialist. And I just thought it was so funny because it's like, yeah, AI needs to be cleaned up after. But among all the people who are scared of AI and scared of losing their jobs as a programmer, there are people who decided, hey, there's an opportunity here. You know, there's no need to run around with like a chicken without a head. You can find a solution for yourself. And they found a solution. And I think that's the same thing that'll happen in the future for, you know, every new innovation. But that idea of discovery, I think, is key. Like, you can discover new things and your creativity can open up if you allow it. You know?
Totally, yeah. I really think like this state to be lost is like a lab for creativity. You can try many different things. Yeah.
I like that, a lab. It's like you're experimenting.
Yeah,
it's like because you're lost, like you can try everything because you don't know what to try, right?
Yeah, for sure. At least if you allow yourself to do that, because some people are like, no, it's not for me. I can't try it. So yeah. Or
paralysis. Yeah, a lot of people fall into paralysis. Like that's my thing. Like instead of like panic, I freeze. I'm like, I don't know what to do. You know? Yeah. So that's the opposite end of the spectrum. But yeah.
And you know, something that comes to my mind is that like I think many writers and filmmakers and creators in general, they all say that the best work comes from periods of like uncertainty or even plain boredom. And when they don't know what to do next, when they don't have like any expectations, this is actually when they find the best ideas. So just be open to that time, to that boredom again, I think it's all about like dialing down your stress, and yeah, to let ideas come to your mind, and not like pressure yourself to figure something out right now. It's not a disease to be lost. Actually, it's not a disease. You don't have to avoid it to run away from it.
That's so true. It's so not a disease. It's like one of the home bases. So I feel like it happens so often. It's like, yep, this is where I am now. This is one of my locations throughout life is being lost. And also, I want to touch on something you said about boredom, because I feel like it's a hot topic right now. It's been a hot topic for the last couple of months. I've seen a lot of videos on it where people trying to say, embrace boredom. Boredom is good for you. Boredom is good for the brain. And boredom is one of those things that cause discomfort. And you could even think of boredom as your brain being lost of what to do. It's a form of being lost, because you're like, I don't know what to do. I'm just here. I'm sitting in space. What am I doing? You know? And it's a lot of question marks there. And it's like another form of discomfort that we have to embrace, because that's where innovation is made, just like you're saying.
Totally. Yeah.
Totally cool.
Because you face yourself at this time. And it can be tied to loneliness at the same time. But yeah. And actually one of the things I experienced that was the most useful for me is when I do the dishes, because I have nothing else to do. I can't watch something, I can use my phone, and so just ideas just pop in my mind. So
the shower's another place. They always say, you have shower thoughts.
Sure.
That's when you have amazing ideas in the shower.
Because nowadays we're so surrounded by entertainment everywhere and many things to do everywhere. We don't have those silent spaces where you just thinking. And you don't know what to do. When do you think being lost is actually a bad thing?
So I think it's bad when we deal with it badly. So back to our mindset, when we get wrapped up in like certain desires and we're like, I need this to be a certain way. And especially when it's not something that's true to who we are, like it's something external, like status or, attention, riches, whatever, something that's like external to us and our who we truly are and what will actually be good for us, that we feel is something that we need. And then, we get in a puzzle or fuzzy world of being lost and disoriented because of those bad desires, I think we should not maybe sugarcoat this state, because it's tough. It can be tough, and it actually hurts sometimes to be lost. But I think it can be a bad thing, as you said, just if you're not patient and if you don't lean into the process and you try maybe to close yourself off, and when you can't see the resources you actually have, or when you ignore your own values. I think it's really important to stick to your values in all situations. And also be careful not to have someone steering your life for you, because when you're vulnerable, some people can just mess up with you. And it can lead to mistakes or regrets or bad habits or even addictions for some people. So be careful about that as well. Definitely staying true to your values. I agree. That's like the big thing. And I think that leans into the second half of that question, which is how to prevent ourselves from getting there. And it's coming back to your values. I think coming back to what is the center of who you are, and what do you hold as the most important thing in your life? Is what you're chasing after, or what you're worrying about, is that how does that stand up next to that value, that can help a lot in terms of like reorienting you mentally when you're spiraling in a bad place.
Definitely. But at the same time also, I think it's really important to stay open open to new ideas and new experiences, even with these values. I really think we can combine values and the fact to stay open. I think it's all a matter of a balance.
I agree.
In the end.
Yep.
So yeah, in conclusion, I'd like to say that maybe the problem is not that we're lost, it's just like maybe that we expect ourselves to always be found in the end, and that we don't let any space for uncertainty. And I wrote a quote that I like to share. Not all those who wander are lost. And I think that's exactly the point. Sometimes what looks like confusion is actually exploration, and feeling lost is in the absence of direction. Is just the moment before a new one appears.
Yeah,
to me, at least.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah. And embracing this, I want to say, staple period of life. Like, it's a staple in that it's like the bread and butter of life is we're always going to have that downtime of being lost, because we are not, omniscient. We don't know all things. So we can't know our future, and we're always going to bump into a corner where we don't know what's around it, So I think it's important to embrace. That's the last thing I would say is like, embrace that unknowingness in yourself, and realizing that like, this is just a place. It's a period of time. It's not your whole life,
Yeah.
All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed this podcast with our first podcast of TGKOL, The Good Kind of Lost. And we're going to see you in the next episode, where we plan to talk about planning and how does that factor into our journey, and how does that make us feel more or less lost? How does that contribute?
Let us know in the comments if there are things on your mind that you'd like us to talk about in the next video. Until then, let's remember, if we gotta be lost, let's be the good kind of lost.
Bye!